Hi everyone, welcome to the Rugby League History channel. I hope you're all well on this Monday. Tonight I'm going to be bringing you the round 8 tips for the 2021 NRL Telstra Premiership. Going through some of these games, it's going to be a bit of a minefield for potential tipsters out there. There's some tricky games to get through, but we'll start with the first one, which is kicking off on Thursday night between Canberra and South Sydney. This one's a home match for Canberra, being played at GIO Stadium down there. So Canberra, over the last couple of weeks, they're not the Canberra that we're used to seeing. They're leaking a lot of points. They've conceded nearly 100 points in the last 3 games. And some of the defending has been quite concerning. And you can see that they're just not the Canberra that we've seen in past seasons. For South Sydney, they just keep marching on, like the song suggests. Glory, glory to South Sydney. They had a good win over the Gold Coast last week. They did come from behind, but some of the attack in that game was quite impressive from South Sydney. For this game, I think one or two things going to happen. So the first is that Canberra's going to fire up. They're going to be in front of their home crowd, and they're going to be putting in a performance that we're used to seeing from Canberra. Or it's going to be a case of they're going to come into the game, they're going to play another mild, half-hearted type of a game, and South Sydney are going to put a bit of a score on. For this game, I'm going to go for South Sydney because I like the way that they've been playing. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Canberra are going to put in a much better effort, but I think South Sydney, just the way that they're going at the moment, they're playing too good, and I think Souths are going to win between 1 to 10 points on the Thursday. The next game is the first match on the Friday. It sees Melbourne up against Cronulla Suburbs. This match is being played down at Amy Park there. Cronulla last week, they really should have won that game against Canterbury. They had about 5 or 6 tries disallowed, and they really should have won. And over the next couple of weeks, they've got some really tough games, and it starts on Friday with Melbourne. Melbourne, they've just been winning games, and especially against the lower teams, they've been racking up some big scores. For this game, I'm not going to talk about it too much. I think Melbourne's going to win 19+. I think Cronulla are in a lot of trouble at the moment, and they got some tough games coming up, as I mentioned, and I don't think that it's going to get any better anytime soon for Cronulla, so I'm predicting Melbourne to win. The main game on the Friday sees Brisbane up against the Gold Coast, and this is being played at Suncorp Stadium, so a home match for Brisbane. Brisbane, once again, it's kind of a case of 1 step forward, 3 steps back. So they had a good performance up against Penrith, and then against Parramatta, they come out with a performance like that. And for the Gold Coast, they've kind of, you can see, hit a brick wall. They lost 36-0 against Manly, and then they were in a win position up against South, and then they let that one slip. As I've said in some of the other videos, I'm not sold on the whole Gold Coast idea at the moment. They've only won the 3 matches this year, 2 of them against basket case clubs. But for this game, with the way that Brisbane have been playing, and with the way that the Gold Coast have kind of been playing in the past, I'm leaning towards the Gold Coast for this match. I think the Gold Coast are probably going to win between 1 to 12 points over Brisbane. I'm expecting a better performance by Brisbane, but I just see the Gold Coast winning. The first match on Super Saturday sees Penrith up against Manly. This has been played in neutral territory at Bathurst there, Carrington Park. Penrith, they just keep winning. They beat Newcastle last week. For Manly, they're like a totally different team with Tom Trbojevic there. Without him, they're shite. With him, they're world beaters half the time. This is a really tricky game to pick because this could be the game where Penrith actually lose. This could be an upset. I wouldn't be surprised if Manly actually won this game, but I'm going to go for Penrith to win. I'm going to go for Penrith to win 1 to 12. I think maybe one thing that might help Manly is the fact that it's not at Penrith, it's in neutral territory in Bathurst. But I think across the park and across the 17 players, I think Penrith are just a better side. But Manly could turn up and they could stage an upset. The next game on the Super Saturday sees Canterbury Bankstown up against Parramatta, and this is being played at Stadium Australia. This match is the second biggest rivalry in the NRL. That's just my personal opinion. Canterbury, even though they won last week against Cronulla, they really shouldn't have, and that's just my unpopular opinion. I think on any other day, Cronulla would have scored 5 or 6 tries. Canterbury did start the match well, but after they scored those 18 points, they didn't really do naught. For Parramatta, they played very well against Brisbane. A great performance, 5 out of 5. This is a rivalry game, so form goes out the window. We all know that Parramatta's up the top of the table with Penrith and Souths, and Canterbury's down in the cellar. But that doesn't mean that Canterbury can't win, because form goes out the window with these games. I'm pretty sure both sides will be fired up for this match. Both clubs hate each other. If there's players in either dressing room that are not fired up for this game, I question why they're playing for Canterbury or Parramatta, because if you're not fired up for this game, I don't know what to say. One thing I will say though is if Parramatta don't show up 100% committed and they don't show the right mentality against Canterbury, they will lose, because Canterbury will be ready, and I wouldn't be surprised in this game if Canterbury take the lead at some point. But if Parramatta play like they did against Brisbane, I think that they'll win, and I think it'll be a tight game though, so I'm going to go for Parramatta to win between 1 to 6 points over Canterbury. The final game on the Super Saturday sees Newcastle up against Eastern Suburbs, and this is being played at Marathon Stadium, or as it's known now, McDonald Jones Stadium. So for Newcastle, they're inconsistent. They're one of these teams that will ruin your accumulator, or a multi, as they call it in Australia. Eastern Suburbs, as I've said in the past, even though they're missing the likes of Keary, Jake Friend retired, Boyd Carden's not there, they've got some other players out. But one thing for Eastern Suburbs is that they've got great depth and they've got a great coach, and you just can't write them off. And for that reason, I'm going to go for Eastern Suburbs to win on the Super Saturday. I think they're going to beat Newcastle 1-12. I think it's going to be another tight game. As I said, it's a game that could go either way. Maybe Newcastle might show up and play one of those games where everyone's on fire and Pong is unstoppable. But I'm going to go for East to win on the Saturday. The first game on Sunday sees North Queensland up against New Zealand, and this one's being played in neutral territory at the Central Coast Stadium. So for New Zealand, they're another team that will ruin your multi, will ruin your accumulator, because they're so inconsistent. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to get with New Zealand. For North Queensland, they have won those 3 games, but another unpopular opinion from my end is that they beat West Tigers, they beat Canterbury in the Spoon Bowl match, and then they should have really lost against Canberra. But they have won 3 games in a row. This is a real toss of the coin game. If I had a coin on me, I'd probably toss it and just choose whatever it landed on, heads or tails. But I think going into this game, I think North Queensland's going to have the advantage. That they're going to be really confident after winning 3 games in a row. And I'm going to go for them to beat New Zealand. I'm going to go for them to win between 1 to 8 points over New Zealand on the Sunday. And the last game to close out the round sees St George up against West's Tigers, and this one's being played at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. St George, they've kind of hit a brick wall, so they had that great win over Parramatta, and then they lost against New Zealand, and it was like the air being let out of a balloon. And then they had the loss against East over the weekend. For West Tigers, they're a basket case. What else can I say? They're the worst run club in the NRL. Worst recruitment and retention programme in the NRL over the last 10 years. They were diabolical against Manly. I just don't see West Tigers winning this game. I'm going to go for St George to win. I'm going to go for them to win 1-12. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think West Tigers will show up. I mean, they have to after losing like that to Manly. But I'm going to go for St George to win on Sunday. So anyway, That's me tips for round 8 of the Telstra Premiership 2021 season. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. If you're new to the channel and haven't yet subscribed, please consider subscribing. My next goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. But anyways, this is Rugby League History signing off, and I'll see you all tomorrow for the Super League tips. Anyways, I'll catch you all later. Bye now.